Good evening, everyone. My name is Sishaba Mutsielwa. I'm from the Speakers Firm. Welcome and thank you for choosing to join the Empower Entrepreneurs Digital Conversation, the COVID-19 discussion hosted by EmpowerWorks. A special welcome to Mr. Tom Mkhwanazi, CEO of the Wholesale and Retail Sector Education and Training Authority, who will deliver the keynote in a few minutes. We have a broad representation of stakeholders joining us directly via Zoom, and they will post their questions directly on the chat box. There will be a Q&A at the end of the keynote, and we'll respond to as many of the questions posted as possible. To get a direct invite to the next talk that is happening tomorrow, the 8th of May 2020, which is be delivered by Professor Chilitsi Marwala, please go to our WhatsApp line 082-088-5262. The 4IR and 5G discussions have just exploded during this lockdown period, and Professor Marwala will indulge us on that. To get further information on all that EmpowerWorks does, do visit the EmpowerWorks website, empowerworks.co.za, where you'll get information around Empower Men, Empower Women, Empower Youth, Speakers Firm, Leadership Summits, and events. We are live on the following EmpowerWorks digital platforms: YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and the hashtag that we are following for these conversations is Empower Entrepreneurs. The wholesale and retail sector is facing unprecedented challenge, much like the rest of the country in the context of the lockdown and COVID-19. Even as the lockdown gets lifted, the challenges in these sectors just change and become different. That is why we'd like to hear from Mr. Tom Mkhwanazi. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for the opportunity. I think it is opportune for us to take this opportunity as a sit, and thank you very much for giving us this opportunity so that we can just share with us how we're dealing with the situation that we are finding ourselves in. But I think firstly, what I just need to share with you is that the Wholesale and Retail Sector Education and Training Authority is one of the 21 sitters that facilitate skills development in various economic sectors in South Africa. On 1 April, we started a new era with commencement of the National Skills Development Plan 2030, extending our lifespan for 10 years. The WNRC recently marked 20 years of existence as a skills development authority in the wholesale and retail sector. I think it's therefore important that we then deal with the issues today. South Africa is facing an economic challenge recently, which has been exacerbated by COVID-19. As we all know, wholesale and retail sector has not been immune to this global pandemic. National Treasury estimates that the tax revenue will decrease by some 1.3 trillion, with some 7 million job losses. This is the worst global economic catastrophe since the economic downturn that we've had in 2008, which will set South Africa and the world in a new course. I'll discuss that in detail. We anticipate that the skills development will be one of the casualties in the budget cuts. As we all know, if we're listening to the president and also listening to our minister, he indicated that the allocation for education in general, including the skills development sector, an amount of about 360 million. Obviously, that is now negatively impacted by COVID-19. As we all know, our revenue is based on projection from levies that we receive from our companies, from our sector. Government has then made a decision through the state president in April, where he gave a 4-month skills development levy contribution holiday to companies in distress due to COVID-19. These developments will require then SETAs to review their priorities for this current financial year and possibly in the near future. And this will also come from the direct impact that is anticipated with job losses, and our revenue will therefore decrease. We estimate that the loss of our revenue will be to the amount of 655 million in this current financial year. That's quite a huge amount of money. It is important, therefore, that we remind companies that government, through the UIF, provides the temporary employee and employer relief scheme for COVID-19 to assist with payment of wages, while as SETAs, we are supposed to assist with skills intervention as part of this scheme that I'm just indicating. While the global COVID-19 pandemic will leave a trail of destruction for many economies, it is also important to note that it does present a number of opportunities to rebuild our economy. And the president did actually, in his State of the National Address in February, indicate that the most significant contribution we can make in inclusive economic growth is in the skills development of appropriate skills and capabilities. So this is therefore the time for all of us to make a significant and a meaningful contribution towards inclusive growth and skills development for us. The demand for basic essential has heightened, as we all know, and we see people all the time standing in queues. And this will further strengthen really the wholesale and retail sector, and will remain one of the anchors as a sector of the economy. To prepare our sector for economic demands, we have to adapt, as people call it, the new normal or the new norm. Yeah. And undeniably, COVID-19 has leapfrogged a transition of our country to fourth industrial revolution. I think we have been forced to move to fourth industrial revolution. We foresee changes primarily on supply chain processes. Digital marketing will become one of the huge components of retail business. These are some of the training priorities that have been identified in our sector skills plan. We now need to build and also think about an inclusion of innovation and technology in our qualification. We will need a comprehensive skills gap analysis to inform our skills priorities across sectors of the economy, to be facilitated by the Department of Higher Education and Training. In the interim, we will assist the whole retail sector with the training of graduates on occupational health and safety in the stores to look after our learners. This will provide much needed relief to our companies, particularly SMMEs that are in distress, and will also contribute in curbing the spread of COVID-19. The WNRC has allocated an amount of about 4.2 million to implement the pilot program in June to place professional graduates to assist companies with screening, as well as health and hygiene management in wholesale and retail companies over a period of 12 months. This pilot project will focus on COVID-19 high-risk districts. Obviously, we know them, which is KwaZulu-Natal, Western Cape, Gauteng, and Eastern Cape province. Reskilling again, is critical to address the impact of employees who may be unable to continue working during this period as a result of underlying health conditions. We have to prepare new ways of work that is going to require reskilling. On the learning side, COVID-19 is reshaping the future of education and training. We need to expedite implementation of online learning to minimize disruption to learning. Electronic devices, as we are using it right now, will become the new classroom as we continue to implement measures to manage COVID-19 through social distancing. This will require substantial investment in digital platforms and to reach rural areas of South Africa. We must focus on establishing partnership with strategic institutions and companies, include private training providers, to explore solutions that will cater for our learners, particularly in the townships and rural areas. And this will include zero-rated data vouchers for learners and access on online programs. The CETA will be introducing online learning for theoretical component of our programs, and we will explore the possibility of implementing simulation for workplace part. The safety of our learners will take priority through the use of personal protective equipment for the practical part. Some of the measures that will be implemented to relieve of our learners during this period is the payment of learner stipends in line with the pronouncement of our Minister, Dr. Blade Nzimande. We will also continue to pay allowances to our bursaries beneficiaries, which we hope will use them to continue with their studies through the various online platforms that are available now and others that yet to be introduced by the institutions of learning. Students and learners must fully utilize these platforms and learning materials that have been provided by government and other private networks providers to minimize disruption on their studies. Another unexpected golden opportunity that has come through COVID-19 is the resurgence of the local manufacturing, which is part of our wholesale and retail value chain. This strengthens supports that calls for industrialization that will bolster our economy and create jobs. The opportunity for our small business is to explore the sustainability of the market that has been created by COVID-19 through the quality product and seamless supply solutions. Our role as government is to assist these businesses to access these markets to ensure that they also benefit like big companies are. This is particularly important to bring these products closer to communities in order to reduce the influx of large retailers that may increase the spread of the virus. Our mandate towards growing small business remains resolute, particularly in these trying times. SMME continue to be the hope of our economy, and entrepreneurship will take a center stage as our economy and the country needs jobs. These companies are likely to be hugely impacted by the virus, and it is our responsibility to support them and in order to survive this tough economic climate and to prepare them for the future. As a result, as a CETA, we have, through our annual budget, that we are in the process of reprioritizing, but we had already planned for it. Funding of critical skills for small and medium companies. We're providing grants for about 18,000 a company. We've got a program for training of small traders, which includes a grant of about 3,000 rand. We'll also continue to assist small levy-paying companies in order to participate, to receive their mandatory grants and participate in other training programs that they have identified. Prioritize the new venture creation that will include tools and equipment. Through this program, we will be able to provide assistance for business startup and support new and existing businesses that are owned by young people, women, and people with disabilities. The analysis of the skills requirement and the funding thereof will be a key focus area for the Department of Small Business Development, which we are working together with currently through a partnership. Moving into the future, digitization is the new normal, and the companies have to adapt. The consumer are going to become more cautious about their safety, which may really reduce the physical activity in the stores. Companies must find new and innovative ways to attract and retain consumers. Networking is critical to learning from others who have walked the same road and succeeded. This is also an important opportunity to establish mutually beneficial partnership. Entrepreneurs can benefit greatly from mentorship, coaching. If you are an entrepreneur, please do not miss this opportunity. The road ahead is going to be a challenging one, but we will rise again. Renowned businessman offered advice when he said 2020 is really a year for staying alive. And if you can stay alive, then you would have made profit already. Our president offers a message of hope when he constantly assures us that we shall recover, we shall overcome, and we shall prosper. Thank you very much.
I haven't even had the first question yet, but that is good. Maybe let me shoot with the first question as the host. With the partial lifting now, already the behavior of consumers as they come into the retail space seems to show that there's going to be quite a lot of people coming in. What measures are being put in place in the retail space for the safety of people?
As I've indicated to you that we've already put in a program where we're looking at about 600 graduates, where we want to ensure that they assist in ensuring that there's health and safety management in this environment. So the plan is for us, because we have seen this as a critical skill for the SETA. So we've seen an opportunity of young people that really are not doing anything, that are not working, that will be beneficial to the society, but again, beneficial to the retailers out there in ensuring that there is safety and those people are doing safety work, and then ensuring that there are those issues that are being taken care of within the retailers.
And then how do you see the people that not used to participate in the space, let's call them the smaller retailers, really taking advantage of the new norm? Because as you said, the main objective is to really survive. If you survive, you're already making a profit. But in truth, many of the smaller players are not going to be able to survive. Are there special assistance programs that are in place that they can access?
Yes, especially for informal traders, we've got a training program that we've had, and it's been successful, where we do a lot of training for those, and we also give them a little bit of a grant of about 3,000 Rand, so that they can then go and buy stock, so that they can then start their businesses. But for sort of SMMEs that are a little bit well established, we've got this new venture creation program that we are putting in place, again, where we there's mentorship, there's training. However, there's also some grant that we give for equipment and some support for you to be able to start your business. So there's some sort of a support that we're putting in place. We are also in talks with the Department of Small Business Development, where we are thinking about partnering with cedar and all these other structures that are there. So we will be going to the board and trying to reprioritize and ensure that we're pushing most of our priorities towards that front.
There's the question that posted by Sylvia. He's just reminding us that the supplier, the entire value chain is bigger than just retailers. So what is the WR SETA training provider? Okay, WR RITA SETA training providers need to be empowered too, and not only wholesale and retail employers. What assistance is available for the WR SETA small training providers?
Well, we've got a program in any case for the capacitation for the small training providers within the organization. So that we'll continue to do. But over and above that, in some cases where there is a need, for example, if a training provider is already in the program and it's got people it's got learners in the system, we will probably assist and ensure that the online system is there in place. Secondly, we'll ensure that there is issues related to PPEs, to ensure that those training providers, we ensure that they're in a space where learners can be able to do what they're supposed to do.
Also, as the questions come up, also you can take them on your side, sir. Angela,
I think there is a question that there is a huge challenge around South Africa-owned spaza shops that are closing. It's even worse with the pandemic. How is the SETA assisting? How is the SETA assisting this type of economy? I think I've mentioned in my talk that we've got the informal traders program, where we are going to be we already have the program, but we are looking at the reprioritizing and ensuring that we're focusing there to assist, to ensure that these spaza shops are available and are able to sell the essentials. And they also create convenience for people so that people don't have to travel far to go and get a mask if they need a mask or they need sanitizers. All these opportunities that are existing at the moment. So by the end of this month, we will already know what programs that we are going to put in place. We already have the programs, but we want to ramp them up more. So we're busy in the process of reprioritizing this, and we're working with also the other government departments.
Is our retail sector really ready to take on the huge task of localizing, for example, things like production, given that the global supply chain has shown that it prioritizes its own nations? What is the SETA doing to just make sure that locally we stimulate ourselves and we are able to provide for our citizens?
I'm not in the manufacturing sector environment. However, I think from a collaboration point of view, we need to have that kind of a conversation in terms of creating that whole value chain. In my view, is the huge opportunity from the clothing sector, for example. There's a huge opportunity there in terms of building. In terms of manufacturing sanitizers in South Africa, there's a huge opportunity there. Although it doesn't fall within my sector, it might be fall within the chemical SETA environment. However, I would assume that each and every SETA is looking at the opportunities as we are looking at the opportunities. And we are seeing an opportunity already that we should be assisting our small spaza shops and traders to have all these products and essentials that are required and that are a necessity right now to be available. So, and it comes from a supply chain process, and obviously from a manufacturing side, we need to probably have that kind of a conversation with those sitters in terms of how we can make sure that the whole value chain works.
Have you got enough training providers to provide the new skills that are required? As you mentioned, that the new norm is going to require new skills, especially when things are going to go online and so on. Are there enough training providers that will assist in this sector?
I don't think we will ever have enough training providers, especially in rural areas. I do not think that we do have, and that is why we've got programs to assist and capacitate training providers. So I do not think that we have enough, and therefore it is important that we then channel our resources towards that intervention in ensuring that that happens. Okay, I can see a question here. Training providers. Okay. Yeah, no, I think yes. I think we've as a SETA, we've always been quite clear about the fact that we need to support small spaza shop owners and capacitate them so that they can then understand the business behind it. So, and that is why these programs that we are putting in place are quite important for them, so that they do not get into a point where they are being bulldozed by the bigger retailers, because there's a huge market in our environment for convenience. For people don't have to always travel to a big mall in order to get what they need. I mean, Thailand is a good example of how convenience is successful. So I can't see why we have to just capacitate our small informal traders, including the spaza shops, that they understand the business and they know what they need to do.
Okay. I do see another comment from Zach. Will you encourage formal retailers to play a role in mentoring local retailers in the informal sector? The question from Zach.
That would be good, as long as in the process there isn't there are no ulterior motives to do away with small traders, because there is a place for small business in this environment. I mean, the most interesting story is that India's economy, they call it unorganized economy, is much more stronger than what is called organized economy. So we can learn a thing or two there. So in India, for example, if you go somewhere and you buy a bag, you will buy a bag that is in the similar quality as the same quality that you would get it in a mall. And as a result, the unorganized, what they call the unorganized sector, is quite strong. In actual fact, what is called organized is actually trying to infiltrate the unorganized.
You may have answered this question maybe in your talk. Are there solutions in place for students who do not have access to the luxury of Wi-Fi as they try to do training and retrain themselves because things are changing so fast?
Yes, I think I have answered that question. I think the minister has made it clear that that young people must be provided with laptops, but they must also be provided with data. in this particular environment within the learning institutions. And as a SETA, we are offering bursaries. So in our reprioritization program that we are doing, we have to also do the same and ensure that all our bursary beneficiaries benefit in that way, because as you would know, only the the universities like UCT and those were the only universities that were able to buy laptops for their students. However, the so-called previously disadvantaged universities couldn't do it. So and we can't have that kind of a situation in South Africa. So we need to ensure that all young people are given the same opportunity. So this is just one of our priorities that has been given to us as a SETA, or as all of the SETAs, including higher education itself through the NSFAS, to ensure that we enable young people to be able to continue with their study.
In the last while, even maybe before COVID-19, what are some of the highlights that perhaps the public does not know that you may want to just bring to the fore? And also, if we really want to engage with the SETA, what are the processes as a follow-up from this conversation?
The SETA has really made a lot of interventions. For example, in terms of the informal traders, I think we really have played a huge role. We have almost facilitated the training for skills development of millions. Not if we can get into numbers and the impact, if we can get into our report, you would see that as a SETA, we have made sort of interventions for the millions of young people in the country, either through bursaries, either through learnership programs that we have with the employers, through the skills programs, through the SMME interventions that I've just indicated. I mean, we just had the Premier of Northern Cape very excited about the program that we did just before the lockdown on informal traders. He was elated about the program, and he wanted us to do more in terms of what we have done as a SETA.
And the collaboration with other SETAs, and is that going well, or are you operating in silos as SETAs? Because if I heard you correctly, there needs to be a little bit more collaboration, or is there one that is already happening?
I think the NSDP, the new NSDP, which is the National Skills Development Plan, is actually pushing us to that direction. I do not think that we have done well previously as SETAs, but there has been some collaborations that have taken place, and I think we can then do more moving forward. However, the NSDP is now actually forcing us towards that direction, and I think if we do that, we'll be even much more successful in terms of ensuring that we get to where we're supposed to be going to.
Fantastic. I think for me, this was informative. It's quite important that we have a lot of people coming to engage and hearing directly from people responsible for some of the SETAs. It's very interesting, as we just about to close, to just maybe let's answer the question from Zach. He says approximately 86% of the revenue in the informal sector lies in the hands of the foreign, whilst we have an unemployment rate in excess of 50% amongst our youth. Surely the public and private sector have a moral obligation to create a platform for local talent. I guess you can pass an opinion there.
Again, the program that I spoke about, we call it ITAMET. For informal traders, is basically ensuring that we capacitate our people to understand the whole process. Okay, whole issue of bulk buying. Okay, because where is the success? The success of those that are not South Africans is in bulk buying. It's collaboration. It's understanding the whole value chain. It's to understand what your people need. It's to understand your stock taking process. That I only keep in the shop what is required by people. But also is the understanding that the business that I have as an informal trader is not just a business that is not important. So our people needs to know this, and we grow up. I mean, I grew up when there was a spaza shop everywhere. So I can't see why we can't revive this by ensuring that we support them properly and we give them the tools that are required in order for them to take their space in that environment without being xenophobic. Yes.
There's one more question that I think we can squeeze in. Are you able to see it?
What is the CETA doing to support the huge COVID expenditure by government with skills programs to benefit small businesses, co-ops, and unemployed youth? As we have indicated, we are in the process of reprioritizing our budget. One, we do have skills programs. And in those skills programs that we have, we just want now to ramp them up to the numbers that are going to be quite beneficial, because the training that needs to take place at the moment, it must be training that is going to be immediate and that's going to have an impact into those that are supposed to be beneficiaries. So we've got 3 programs for small businesses, including the co-ops and the NGOs. And also we are looking at the unemployed. We are not even moving away from that. We are continuing and we are ensuring that young people are going to be required at the workplace, and we want to support them in 2 forms. Through those that are unemployed as graduates, we had a target of about 1,200, and we are going to the board. We want to increase that number. The 600 that I indicated, it's from that 1,200 that we are looking at it. So we are already looking for the young people in terms of the graduates, but we also want to ensure that we support employers to be able to take young people again through the learnership programs for long-term qualifications from level 1 up to level 5. We also, as I said, we've got all the 18,000 that we are giving to each and every SMME program for critical skills, and it's a program that we have, and we want to ramp it up because right now it is required, and there is a need for us to be able to do that. But we are also looking, as I've indicated before, on the new ventures or those businesses that have just started, so that we can assist them. And again, we've got we had a lesser number in terms of what we were supposed to do. We'll have to go back to the minister and say to the minister, please, let's reprioritize our targets. Let's focus on issues that are going to make impact quickly now, because the environment is calling us for us to do things differently.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tom Mkhwanazi, CEO of the Wholesale and Retail Sector Education and Training Authority. Really appreciate you availing yourself to have these digital conversations We might be socially distancing, but our engagement continues, and we really appreciate you taking the time. And for everyone, if you want to join tomorrow's conversation with Professor Chilitsi Marwala, everything 4IR, as well as this controversy around 5G, use the number of WhatsApp 082 088 5262. And I would like to thank everyone for participating in this digital conversation. And I look forward to hosting you again. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.